at chevy.com/equinoxev.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Bachelor Happy Hour. I'm Joe.
And I'm Serena.
And we are here today again. We had him on for a very short amount of time, and that just wasn't enough. Everyone, please welcome Jonathan.
Hey.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me again, guys.
Thanks for coming back.
How you feeling?
Good. You know,
we will start I guess we're going to go in order, but one thing we do know is that you are officially casted on Bachelor in Paradise next summer. And before the podcast started, you started saying something, but we were like, wait for the podcast. So what were you saying?
Oh, I was saying, so I'd never seen anything Bachelor related up until I was on it. You know, when I got casted for Bachelorette, I had some homework to go back and watch Bachelor so I could get to know some of the girls and whoever might be the Bachelorette. Now, going into Paradise, I was like, you know what? I should probably do some homework, look into it. And Hulu only has season 4 and 5. So I was like, all right, let's go with the most recent one. And it just so happens to be your first season. And I literally just finished the episode where you and Leo get into it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And he calls you grocery store bitch. And I lost it. I was like, dude, Joe and I are very similar. Like, we don't have to go in and talk our shit, but if somebody starts being disrespectful, we're going to be honest. That was just walked up and made your point, and I was like, that's the guy right there.
Yeah, that was that season. So that, I mean, I went into Paradise really being green, because I wasn't on, I went home night 1, so I didn't have any reality TV experience.
He went home night 1 on The Bachelorette.
Right. So
got it.
So the season of Paradise that you're watching is basically his first experience on reality
TV. So that was rough, but no need to rehash all that.
You're like, that's not what I thought you were going to get into. I'm glad that we're avoiding it.
So you live in San Diego, correct?
I live in LA, so I'm in Marina Del Rey.
And what do you? Oh, Marina Del Rey, nice, very cool over there. What do you do for a living?
I create social ads for companies.
Nice.
So I pitch them on bundles as far as multiple different ads from being pushed towards Instagram, TikTok, whatever it might be. Write scripts, film them, edit them, send them back. Work with different talent.
Do you work in?
So production side.
Are you in an office now, or do you work at home?
Home fully. Okay. And then my business partner is actually my best friend from 7th grade / roommate, which is actually really nice.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's fun.
So how did you wind up on The Bachelorette?
Yeah, so I had gotten a DM from, must have been a casting producer, and he was like, hey, do you want to talk about a show? And I was like, not really, no. He's like, dude, it'll be 5 minutes. I was like, okay, 5 minutes, I can swing 5 minutes. Let's talk about it. And then we have one call. It goes really well. Wants to talk a few more times, and then said that he liked me. But then you know how it goes. You don't really hear from them for months. And then by the time that they kind of circle back around, you're like, I'm over it, whatever. So they tried calling me multiple times, and then I was on a trip up to Mammoth, and this is after they tried calling multiple times, and I had 2 of my best guy friends and 2 of my best girlfriends in the car. And they're like, dude, you got to pick up this time. Just hear them out, see what they have to say, pick it up. And they're like, we've been trying to get a hold of you. We've loved you so far. We'd love to get you to talk to the producers. And then they get me on that following Monday. So that was a Friday. That following Monday, they got me set up. And then I'm on a call with all the EPs. And then they're pretty much like, all right, gear up. We like you, but you got to go through the whole process of everything. And yeah. And then randomly one day they just reach out you ready to go?
Wow.
I was like, no, but yes.
And then you're there in a full cast, or your body's what is it, a mummy or what was it?
Your face was
hospital gown wrapped in
hospital. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. What? Now I heard that you had an idea before that one. What did you want to do? What was your initial limo entrance?
How did they know about this? I know
all. All right, I have my sources.
Yeah. So initially, I wanted to get dropped off in an ambulance, still wearing the hospital gown, and then I wanted to get out with like an IV drip, so like the walking IV bags, and I was going to put a bag of wine on there. I was going to make her slap the bag of wine and then take a pull with me, and then that would be the introduction into the night. But
that is sick. I can't believe they didn't let you do that. Oh my God. Have you ever chugged out of a wine bag? It's not really giving something you've ever done.
Chugged out of a wine bag?
Yeah, like slap the bag.
No.
Okay.
No, I have not.
I'm right there with you, Jonathan. I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
The crazy way to start a night off, but it's fun.
That's so fun. Okay, so they toned it back a little bit. Face bandages, gurney, a little less jarring, no needles involved.
No needles
Was
involved.
your butt being out originally part of the plan?
I honestly don't remember.
Like, were you like, I really want to show up a little bit naked?
Okay.
How did the gown come into play? And were you comfortable with the idea of your cheeks being out?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it was just more like either go half in or full in. And I'm like, I'm already going in a hospital gown wrapped in gauze and everybody else is wearing a suit. I might as well go all out.
Yeah.
So show up, cheeks out, and hope for the best. It was honestly, it was like 50 degrees that night. It was freezing too.
Yeah.
You're saying that at the rose ceremony, you're nervous as hell, but you're also like frozen. So you're sitting there shaking and everybody around you is just like, dude, relax. It's not that bad. I'm like, maybe not for you, but I've been naked all night.
Were you worried at all by covering up your face? Jen would just kind of pay no mind, I guess.
No, I think the problem is that I think I had the opposite reaction for what I was going for. It was more or less like everybody built up hype around like me being like this like immaculately beautiful person underneath, and I'm like, guys, whoa, not the point.
Yeah.
And you guys are gonna be severely disappointed when I take this off. Like, I'm not bad looking, but I'm not some Adonis that you guys are gonna freak out about. So I think there was a lot of like,
he's so beautiful, we can't look away.
Yeah, literally. But for Jen, no, I think she saw it and she was just like, I'm curious what's under there. So when it came to her, I think plan went exactly as it was supposed to. But the guys for hours on end that night were like, dude, just like a peek. Like, what do you look like under there?
Yeah.
I feel like the curiosity also adds to it. Even with Jen, she's passing you in the halls as she's talking to guys, probably being like, what does this guy look like?
Yeah. I think the group photos are the funniest part, though. You've seen where we're all like standing on the stairs and Jen's in the middle and everybody's just dressed up to the nines. And I'm just.
I know. I always feel bad for the people that come in costume because you don't change the whole night and it's the longest night of the season and you're stuck wearing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, I almost feel like, if it wasn't as cold, it's probably more comfortable than a suit, except for the face gauze or.
Oh, that was bad.
Yeah,
that was bad because it was tight. I started getting a headache.
Yeah,
that's brutal.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like when we were at the Met Hall, they showed your entrance again, and it kind of just jogged our memory of like the cheeky line and how you delivered it and everything. And now even just hearing what your original crazy idea was for your entrance. I feel like we didn't get to see that side of you really for the rest of the season. We saw playful moments between you and Jen, but I feel like a lot of the moments that we saw of you were a lot more serious.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your personality shined through?
Yes and no. You know, I try to treat everybody as respectful and as nice as possible. And like, that's one facet of my personality for sure. People pleaser through and through. But on the flip side of that, you know, there's the goofy, weird, outgoing, like doesn't really care what people think side, where it's like, I'm just going to go out there and have fun and do what I do. And maybe that wasn't touched on as much. And I think that's probably part of the reason I was there as long as I was. You know, Jen is very much like that. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that I think people should know a little bit more about. But I think I do a good job on my social media kind of showing people that side as well. You know, you have this representation of like who I am, but that's one side. You know, there's multiple other, and one, that's what Paradise will be great for, is kind of getting to show people like that well-rounded person that I can be. Yeah, I mean, I'm not mad
Well,
about it. I still think I was represented really well, and I think
Yeah.
yeah, I think
No,
I think
you came
I think
across
at, I
really
think at
well.
the beginning we see a lot of like fun clips with you and Jen. I think when things started just getting more serious because they had to get more serious, we started hearing more of your story and just kind of, I think like your whole thing was in relationships was kind of like I kind of get in my own way.
yeah,
And do you believe that? Is
Yeah.
that a thing?
big time. I think over the last few years, I think a lot of people are guilty of it, and you kind of hold these fears from your past over the present. And it's like that person doesn't deserve that, but it's inevitable. You can't really help yourself. And at the end, like right when I went home, I was just, those tears and those feelings were real because I'm like, I'm over it. Like I'm tired of not letting people all the way in or missing out on an opportunity that's so great with somebody just because I'm afraid of what happened in the past when that person has no correlation to that person that did you wrong or anything along those lines. So yeah, it was just it was a breaking point for me that was very real. And I think it's one of those things that people don't tell you on the show, that while it is fast, it also makes you process things really fast as well. Like, yes, it feels rushed, but when you are in it, it's not, I mean, you guys
Yeah, we get
Yeah.
it.
you guys went through it. You guys ended up together after a month. So,
Yeah, truly.
Do you think you were doing that though with Jen, or do you think you were somewhat breaking that habit during this season?
honestly, the first 3 weeks were a lot of like self growth.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just going to be the most fun I can be here, so that she just wants to be around that fun, free energy. I think everybody's coming in trying to like trauma dump on you and tell you all their problems and tell you this and that, and like try to find this profound love with you, like off the rip. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that to her. I don't operate like that in the real world. I'm not going to do it here. So when I got there, I was just like, I'm going to be the best me I can be, but also figure some things out. So by the time we need to start getting deeper and things get further on, we're like good to go. And I can share those things with you.
Impressive balance of several factors, including
That it could be your dating, including stress. Nutrition keeps up with your life.
Insurance provider that has your social security, your plan if you lose money due to identity theft. You might not be able to control how others handle your personal information.
Let's go with it. You make it to home.
Save up to 40% your first year at LifeLock.com/iHeart. That's 40% off your first year at LifeLock.com/iHeart. Terms apply.
So Jen ends up, you make it to hometowns.
Mhm.
Were you ready at that point for Jen to meet your family? Like, you think you were fully ready, or do you think it's just you're there, you like her, let's go with it?
That's always a tough one for me, because I think there's like layers to introducing people to my family. Like,
Yeah.
my mom is like the most fun person on planet Earth. Like, I would bring a stranger to meet my mom just to be like, hey, like, have fun. And
Yeah.
she would probably take us like paddleboarding, surfing, snowboarding, like whatever. I think in that moment, it's one of those, again, it's a fast experience. So you're bringing somebody home to meet your mom, and you're like, hey, we have a really strong bond. Bringing Jen home was nerve-wracking for sure, but it was exciting seeing like this world that you've been living in kind of meet your actual reality, and the both just mesh together super well. It's like one of those reassuring things that you kind of need to see, just because it's hard to break out of that, like, hey, I'm on a show mindset to this is my reality mindset. So nervous a little, but more excited than anything.
Now, where is your head at when you leave your family's house as far as getting down on one knee in an engagement? You think you're there?
No, absolutely not.
No? Okay.
No, not at that point. At that point, I got a lot of clarity that I was looking for. And
Which was?
Hearing that I'm on the right path with the right girl, and my family, who knows me pretty well, can see that there's a future with this girl. You know, I'm not just in this like headspace and this social experiment that you kind of like think about. You're like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, these people actually see you with the girl you're with. And from that point on, I was like, all right, I'm not crazy for having the feelings that I do. It's time to actually like jump in.
Well, your brother and your sister-in-law, it seems like, met and moved very, very quickly. So
Yep.
it must have kind of helped when you're coming in, knowing this girl for a few weeks, saying you might get engaged,
Yeah.
right? Like they kind of like broke that barrier with your family a little bit.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And I don't talk to them as much as I would like to, but seeing them and kind of hearing their story and filling me in on it in that moment was also exactly what I needed to hear. You know, I think especially for the show wise too, like obviously the opening scene was them saying we met on Tinder after 3 weeks. We said, I love you. And it's just a direct correlation to how possible it actually is. So that was a really special moment too.
Did you know all that before hearing them talk about like the timeline of their relationship?
Oh yeah. I thought my sister-in-law was nuts when I first met her.
Really?
She came back after like 3 dates and her and my brother were drunk and she just comes back. She's like, John, I need to talk to you for a second. I was like, okay, yeah, what's going on? And she's just like, I love your brother and I'm going to prove that to you day in and day out for as long as it takes. And I'm like,
You're crazy.
you guys just went to the movies. I thought, like, what the hell is going on? Like, why are you telling me this? I don't like.
Yeah,
if
you're
you
like, good
this
to meet
cool, you don't have
you.
to come prove to me your love after 3 dates. I already think you're nuts for saying it, but like, you know, once you get into that mindset and you meet somebody like that, you're like, oh, okay, maybe they're not as crazy as I thought.
Yeah.
So you okay? So moving along, you go. You know, you make it to fantasy suites. You guys do fantasy suites. Anything? Any like I don't know. Any conversations in there that really just helped? Where am I going? with
Solidify
this?
your feelings
Yeah.
for Jen.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy because I don't think I took time off camera to ask the kind of questions that push the relationship. So like you're at cocktail parties, you're at the rose ceremonies, you're at whatever it might be. That's the time to ask those questions. You know, when I actually got down to the moment of being at when I was at fantasy, I actually just stopped and I was like, how are you? Like, I just want to know how you're doing. How are you with everything? How has this process been for you? How are you as a person? Like, how are you really? I just want to know that. I want to know how you're doing. And I want to talk about things you enjoy, things you don't enjoy. Like, tell me it without having to like worry about maybe getting caught slipping up or saying the wrong thing for a second. That's all I want to get to know. So I kind of took the fantasy suite time to really just ask those kind of questions.
Did you have any idea during fantasy suites or after where the other guys were and their relationship with her?
I didn't fully know. No, and you're separated from all the guys at this point. You know, there's only 3 of us left.
Yeah, so you guys don't even get to talk or feel it out. No, yeah.
No. But I think based on our process and the way Jen and I kind of handle ourselves up until that point, you know, every week I went to each rose ceremony very confident. I was like, you know what? It'd be kind of weird if I went home. Like, we just had an amazing conversation, in my opinion. Like, things felt so great. Like, it just would have felt like you get home, you get sent home for that. Like, she must be like already saying she's in love with somebody if I'm getting sent home for that. But then it got to this point, and, you know, I think that just felt different. This is the first rose ceremony I walked into, and I was like, you know what? It's probably me. Like,
really? You thought that?
I thought that. And I think it's just like, I think there was an X factor missing. And especially watching it back, I mean, you can kind of see it. Like, she's confessing her love for Marcus, and Devin's saying that he's in love with her. And I'm sitting there in this middle ground with her where like everything's great. It's fun. Like, we have no issues with each other, no drama. Like, it's just free. It's easy. But that next step isn't there.
Yeah. And your fantasy suite date kicked off with you saying she doesn't know me well enough for me to feel ready to propose. And I feel like there was a large contrast between like that kind of setting the tone of where you guys were at that point in the journey, and then seeing where the other two were at. It must have brought a lot of kind of clarity and reassurance watching the episode back.
Honestly, a ton. Seeing the other two's relationship gave me all like the reassurance and clarity that I needed to see, that it wasn't just like that I couldn't get there. Because that's very hard on yourself to just sit there and be like, it's your fault. Like, you couldn't get there. You couldn't do this. You couldn't do that. But then you see her relationship with these other two guys and you're like, okay, now this makes sense. Like, she clearly has so much love for Marcus. And like, that is a part of where her head's at that just like really shows us that she was able to get there. And then on the flip side, you have Devin, who was just able to get there so quick. I think he got feelings for her faster than anybody. And seeing that it just wasn't there was me just being like, okay, that's the closure of being like, what? It wasn't you. It wasn't her. It just wasn't right.
Yeah.
Did you ever think about going into Fantasy Suites or at any point in Fantasy Suites being like, so what's the deal here? Like, who's going home this week?
That's what I mean. That's
what I would do.
That's
First
what
thing,
I would do too.
Door shuts, cameras off. All right, buddy. Where's your head at? Just be straight with me. That's probably why neither of us ever ended up in a fantasy suite with anyone but each other. But did you ever think like, oh, should I just like ask her? Like, she might know. She might have an idea. Ask her where her head's at and like push her for a straight answer? Or does it feel awkward and like, because I could also see it being like, I don't want to put them in a bad position.
If you do that and it goes south, like, then you kind of look like a nosy prick.
I think it's kind of fair to be a nosy prick in this environment. A little bit at times.
Well, let's see. I mean,
what's your answer?
For me, that's kind of where I would go with it. It's kind of weird to ask,
Like, it feels inappropriate, right?
Yeah, like you're starting to get feelings for somebody and like you haven't known each other that long, but you're like, hey, are you in love with somebody else? Like, it sounds valid, but in the moment you're just like, this doesn't feel.
You're like, I feel like a douchebag. Like,
yeah,
I'm overstepping.
It's almost like, hey, can I look through your phone really quick to see like how everything, like, you just in a rational state of mind, you just don't do that. And for me, I was just like, I'm not going to ask. And I think
that's a good comparison. That makes sense. The phone comparison, like that makes sense when you put it that way. Like a violation of privacy, ask that question.
Yeah, it almost feels as if though too, and like Joe saying, like it's like you fall on your face. It feels like you just like are like insecure in your guys' relationship almost. To where it's like, oh, you have to ask, like you don't believe in us strong enough, whether it's true or not true. It's a 50-50 shot there. So it's like I could either hit big and she could be like, oh my God, you are in game for me. Like, I love you so much. Or it's like, oh, well. And then you're like,
and then you're stuck in the room with them the rest of the night.
Yeah. Like, okay, well, this is awkward now. Should I go somewhere else?
Yeah. Okay.
You never, I don't think you want to put yourself in a position where if you say something like it could just totally destroy your chances of being the one, I guess. But I mean,
you'd have to be like pretty confident it was you to be asking that question, I guess. Because the other alternative, it's not you, is just, it's not really a risk you want to take.
The all-electric Chevy Equinox EV is America's most affordable EV with over 315 miles of range. So whether you're making a quick turn around the block or driving cross-country, the Equinox EV has you covered with the electric range you deserve. Plus, enjoy the new electrifying look of the Equinox EV, which sports an appealing combination of refined style and elevated design.
Starting at $34,995, the 2025 Equinox EV LT gives you an impressive balance of all-electric range, safety features that give you confidence on the road, and effortless technology, all at a price you'll love. Based on comparison of starting at MSRP of the 2024 Chevrolet Equinox EV2 LT with that of competing EVs, use GM estimated range based on development testing and or analytical projection consistent with the SAE J1634 revision 2017 MCT and subject to change prior to production. Actual range may vary based on several factors, including ambient temperature, terrain, battery age and condition, loading, and how you use and maintain your vehicle.
The manufacturer's suggested retail price excludes tax, title, license, dealer fees, and optional equipment. Dealer sets the final price. To learn more, visit Chevy.com/EquinoxEV.
T-Mobile 5G internet keeps getting better. And now with 2 new plans, you can get internet right where you want it. Introducing Home Internet Plus. Boost your internet connection to harder to reach places with our Wi-Fi mesh access point. And connect all your smart devices with 24/7 interactive video. Get internet right where you want it.
During congestion.
100% online with P. Take the labor out of upgrading your home with.
Do you have an opinion?
At the end, like him and I are very similar, but she had more feelings for Marcus. So that would be like a me and Marcus because we're very similar.
Like, yeah, like, did you go home and you're like, okay, well, in that moment, who do you, Jonathan, when you went home, obviously.
Com's Labor Day mega sale happening now. Save up to 50% plus premium doorbusters. Up to 50% off at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Jonathan, when you went home, obviously you're going through like your whole journey and your feelings and hers and your relationship, and you're probably, running it all back. But in that moment, who do you think she's going to choose? Do you have an opinion?
At that point,
like, yeah, like, did you go home and you're like, okay, well, it's not me. I think she's choosing. It's probably Devin.
yeah, that's so tough. I don't know. Like, if it came down to like a me and Marcus, because we're very similar individuals, I'd be like, oh, it's definitely Marcus.
Yeah.
But I think it was like weeding out the 2 options at the end. Like him and I are very similar, but she had more feelings for Marcus, so that would be the placeholder for that. And then there's Devin. And I feel like to an extent she has like this like unspoken draw towards Devin, that she's always had. And we all know he's got a silver tongue. Like,
Yeah.
dude can talk left and right in circles wherever, but he means what he says. And I think Jen saw that really early on. And, he was getting first roses repeatedly, So I'm sitting here against guys that are getting first roses, 2 one-on-ones, and I'm just kind of like,
Yeah.
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 It's interesting because some seasons the contestants will come off the show and be like, we all knew like they liked this person, or
Really?
like we knew like these 2 or 3 were like way ahead of everyone else, or like
Yeah.
it was very obvious. And I feel like, I don't know exactly how Jen was, but just kind of based on your answer and also what we've seen, she seems to be good at concealing like the direction of her heart. Like every week at rose ceremonies, it could kind of go a bunch of different ways, it feels like, at least for us as viewers. So it makes it an interesting season when it's kind of hard to tell.
mm-hmm.
Oh, we interviewed you live at the Men Tell All, but just to touch on the Men Tell All a little bit, overall, what were your thoughts on the whole? I guess the whole night, a little bit of the drama, and then just like Jen coming back.
Whole night itself, I kind of spoke on it a little bit earlier, but like I didn't partake in any of the drama really throughout the season. I wasn't going to start that night. It's a lot of grown men making a lot of noise that leads to literally nothing. And I have 0 energy to put in that direction. I want to talk about positive things. I want to talk about people's wins, their victories, the good things in life. I don't want to sit here and talk about who brought a stupid book and who didn't read it. Like, I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
like we're established. We're 28 plus years old. Like, you giving a guy that hates you a book isn't going to change his mindset on life. Like, he knows who he is. He likes who he is. You can offer advice, but it's not the end all be all. And then outside of that, I think specifically too for like Sam M. He had a rough go at it the last couple episodes, and I don't think he was able to really articulate what he was trying to say very well at all. I mean, we all kind of saw him fumble his words at the radio show, and then when he came on at the Men Tell All, he spoke very clear, very concise, and for me personally, like, I'll never fault a man for trying to be better, and you could tell in the genuineness of like what he was saying that he really wanted to do better. And he really reflected on like what it was that had went wrong. So when he went out there, spoke his truth, spoke his feelings, and was able to actually articulate it this time, I was proud of the man he's trying to become moving forward from what he saw. So that was all really good. And then seeing Jen was great. We started off our relationship as friends. We just had fun. We were like best friends that kissed, like it was,
I said that.
It was one of those kinds of relationships, but then you take away the kissing and we're still just friends at the end of the day. So seeing her, I had nothing but great things to say to her, told her I was proud of her, told her she
did it feel right? Like where you guys are at? Did it make sense?
Yeah. Okay. I think it felt okay. There was no bad blood, bad intentions, bad anything. I just wanted to wish her the best, and I don't know how it ends, but hopefully she's happier than ever. I still threw a compliment her way. I told her she looked kick-ass in her dress and brought up this like list of 3 dresses that she like kept going. I know we talked about it in the last one. Brought that up as like my last little compliment to her, but it's good.
Nice. Well, Jonathan, we appreciate you coming on and chatting with us about all the things from your season. To end off, do you want to play a little game with us?
Sure. Let's do it.
Oh, and congrats. You are officially casted on Bachelor in Paradise. So that's awesome.
We will be seeing you there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's crazy to get that out of no. I wish somebody gave me a heads up, but I was sitting there with my jaw on the floor while everyone was cheering, and I was like, I don't even know if I officially confirmed, but I think I said I'll see you on the beach, Jesse. So
yeah,
we'll see.
All the other guys had to work much harder. They were the ones.
Yeah, they made Hakeem put a spider on his lap to go to Paradise. They make you do anything.
All I had to do is walk out and smile and say yes. I was like, okay.
There you go. That's the way to do it.
Is there anyone, any girls that you would want to see down there, or anyone from your season that you'd want to bro out with on the beach?
As far as the bro out part, no. Only reason is just because the purpose isn't to bro out. Like if I have amazing friends from there. Like I love Jeremy, Spencer, Marcus, like Devin. I love all of those guys. But, first of all, one of those 2 last guys are probably with Jen, could be with Jen. I don't know. So we'll see. But as far as the other ones, like I would have a good time with whoever's there. Girl wise, I don't know. I haven't seen enough of the seasons. I kind of want to go in open-minded and just see what comes in. I don't want to put too much of like a pressure on somebody or something and just have this big idea of who it is I'm looking for, and then it ruins something good that's right in front of me.
That's your best
That's
bet.
your best
and
bet,
honestly,
for sure.
probably not have conversations through DMs or try to keep those minimal.
That's what I keep hearing. And
Yeah.
I will avoid Bachelor Nation DMs.
It's a trap.
Well, because
It's a
the
trap.
truth is like the
Once
show.
in a while it works, but for the most part it doesn't.
The show also does a pretty good job, and now that there's been a full season of Paradise, like you never know who's going to be down there.
Yeah, there's going to be a large amount of people to choose
And
from.
what do is like you don't want to start some shit with someone and then end up meeting somebody that you actually really like in Paradise, and then that comes and potentially fucks up the beginning of a relationship. So
It's also like a year until filming, so like, I mean, if you get into a relationship, that's obviously the goal,
just
is
behave,
to not
all right?
be single.
Just do your best to behave out there.
Yeah.
Let's play this game.
Okay, so the game is Just My Type with Jonathan. Rapid fire questions, all easy, fun.
Nervous.
So starting off, what is a deal breaker of yours?
Deal breaker? Lack of purpose.
Describe your dream girl in 3 words.
Kind, silly, and spontaneous.
What's the best way for a girl to catch your attention?
But I just had this conversation with somebody the other day, like if they're at a wedding and they're like dancing goofy, but just confidently. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to come talk to you for sure.
What is a green flag you look for when dating?
Emotional intelligence, like very self-aware.
What's the first thing you notice about a woman?
Legs.
What's your ideal first date?
Ideal first date? Oh, I have one that is my favorite. I usually go like Dave and Buster's, dinner, walk. Dave and Buster's is a toss-up because it just has to be an activity. I need to know that you can hang, that you're fun, that you can get a little competitive with me. And then we'll get in more serious at dinner, have like a nice chat. And then if everything goes well, we'll go for a walk, grab some wine, or just chill out.
It's a long first date. What's your...
I got to make sure
playing video
you get out
games.
early.
Yeah.
I guess only if it's going well. If it goes bad at Dave and Buster's, it's over.
Exactly.
No dinner. What's your biggest turn off?
Oh my God. I don't know.
Rapid fire, Jonathan. Rapid fire.
Hygiene.
Okay.
That's important.
Bad hygiene.
What do you think makes you a catch?
Open-mindedness.
Do you date more introverted or extroverted girls?
Extroverted for sure.
And last one, who is your celebrity crush?
Billie Eilish.
Really?
Nice.
I would not have expected that.
She's got to be. She's honestly her songs are her voice is incredible.
Yeah,
Every time I
she's-
listen to her, I'm like, dude, she's so good.
Her eyes are really beautiful.
I have an obsession with like singing competitions and shows. So love singers, but also just like her individuality. She's not afraid to be herself. And I absolutely love that.
Nice. All
Love
right,
that. Did you watch her on, what's that show?
David Letterman.
David Letterman.
No.
You should go watch it. It's a really good episode.
That's a good interview.
David Letterman's interview with her on Netflix is like amazing.
Check that one out.
Jonathan, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm pretty sure this won't be the last we're going to have you on this podcast. So good luck with everything. And to all our listeners, thank you guys for tuning in to Bachelor Happy Hour. We love having you here, and make sure you subscribe and download.
Yep. Next week, we have the finale of Jen season. So stay tuned for that, for lots of exclusive interviews coming your way. And don't forget to subscribe. Bye.
Bye.